plugged in here. Yes, I know. Both hands on the wheel, Steve. There we go. Okay. You can't see me, but there's my cap, so you know it really is me. We're on the road, and today I want to cover a very interesting topic, something that I've been asked many times in the past, and once recently, right before we headed out on our trip, and that is how to prepare for and what to think about, what to do if the collapse comes while you're away from home, depending on a little bit or a lot. And we're getting to the what I consider to be a lot here pretty quick. We're headed right now into eastern Tennessee, and I'll say right now, you all have a beautiful state. Tennessee is kind of three sections. It's western Tennessee, middle Tennessee, and eastern Tennessee. And we just love eastern Tennessee. We'll be coming up to the Smokies in a little while, and we love that. We'll be staying in the Smokies for a few nights. First off, before I get started, and this is a subject that I enjoy talking about, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Mark Harrison and his wife. Now, Mark is one of our highly esteemed patrons on the Patreon channel. You all on YouTube don't know him, but he's posts a lot over there. Mark is retired Army. Fifth group, is, if I recall. And Mark, I thought about you when we came past Fort Campbell. I got a lot of friends in the 7th. I had some friends in the 5th from the Vietnam days. But Mark said he told me, he messaged me or commented or whatever when he knew we were taking this southern trip. He says, "Hey, come on by." He told me the general area where he lives. We can put you up and feed you, and love to have you. And I said, and that was so nice. I said, "Well, thank you very much." Actually, at the time, I thought we were going to come across in an area of Tennessee that was not close to him. As it turned out, we've gone through an area that put us right close to him, but because of time constraints, and that's why we took a different way, we wouldn't be able to. Well, anyway, this morning I got up and I saw a comment from him, and he told me again, he gave me a better idea where they live. He says, "Come on by if you'd like." He says, "Well, I know you don't know us." Well, I kind of feel like I do, Mark. He says, we'll put you up, no charge, and have a home-cooked meal cooked by my wife. And man, and how nice is that? I mean, that was, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And we would have loved to if we weren't kicking it for time right now. And so please, first off, thank you, Mark. And secondly, please extend our thanks to your wife, since I know she'd be the one whipping up the grits. See, that's one thing. When my family doesn't like grits. Can you believe that? But down here, they make grits like grits ought to be made. So thank her very much. And we're going to be taking another trip down south, then either later this year or next year. And I'm gonna, if the invite is still good, I'm gonna put you on our scheduled stop on that one. And there's several other people out there who also have extended invitations. I thank you all so much, and I'm gonna start making a list, checking it twice, and next time we're headed in a trip close to you, there's a sign that will mean something to somebody. And I'd love to meet anybody that I get a chance to. I always love that opportunity. Okay. Several years ago, so now we're going to get to the main topic here, and that is, how do you prepare for, how do you think about, and then what would you do if it all collapses when you're away from home? Now, several years ago, I ruined somebody's vacation. While I was working at the hospital, the chief nursing officer came out one day to me. I was out on the helipad getting ready for a helicopter landing, and she walked out. It turned out that some of the administrators in the hospital had learned that I'd written the first book, The Reversion, and then a couple of subsequent ones. And somebody bought a copy, and they read it, and then they started passing it around all around the administration of the hospital. You know, when you're thinking about administrators, you're usually thinking about, you know, people in suits with very little sense. And while some of them certainly were, others were fairly sharp, and the chief nursing officer was very, very sharp herself. Well, her husband was a lieutenant on the Kansas Highway Patrol. I hope you all are enjoying this beautiful drive. And, you know, so he was involved. I mean, as you can imagine, being a lieutenant on the Highway Patrol is, he was a sharp guy, very experienced. He was involved in their emergency management and emergency planning and emergency response and everything like that. Well, she told me that when she brought my book home, the first one, The Reversion, by the way, the links are down below if you haven't read it, that he started reading it and wouldn't let her have it until he was done with it. And then he started really thinking about it, and every time a new book of mine came out, they would read it. Well, they took a trip down to, this is what she was telling me, they took a trip down to Disney World down in wherever it is in Florida. And she said the whole time down there, he was fretting and worrying and stuff, and she said it just ruined his vacation because he kept saying, we're down here 1,200 miles from home, or however far you are from home, and we've got our kids with us, and we got a friend's kid with us. What would we do if what happened in Steve's book happened while we're down here? And she said he didn't enjoy that vacation at all because he kept thinking about that. Well, I'm sorry that I, you know, ruined somebody's vacation, but, you know, that's good. I'm glad that he started thinking about it. Well, I think about it all the time, as many of you do, and the reason that I don't worry is because I've already thought about it and planned for it. You know, the people who worry about things are the people who haven't planned and prepared for them. So what do you do when you're away? First off, how do you plan for it? Now we're going to be about 652 miles, according to Mr. Google, who I trust within a few miles. 652 miles from home when we get to our final destination in the Smokies. Now, last year was a lot worse. I didn't feel good about going way out west through, you know, Dakotas and Wyoming and Montana and Idaho and Washington and Oregon. I felt better once we got back to Colorado. I figured I was within striking distance of home there. But all the way out there, I says, man, this is going to be a real problem if it happened and we had to get back. Now, this is one of those things. What are the odds of it happening? Well, you know, scientists tell us the CME is assured, but what's the chances of you being away from home that far, when it does happen? And depending, I mean, we have a nephew who's an over-the-road truck driver. The chances of him being away from home are pretty good. But for us, we take, one long trip a year, and so, you pack 1 week out of a decade into it, and it's not that big a deal. But we prepare for the possible, right? That's what preparedness is, like your house insurance, your car insurance, everything like that. So the first thing that I do is I say, and I include the kids in this, and I ask them, how long would it take for us to walk home in a perfect situation? Now, I mean a perfect situation in an imperfect situation. There's nothing perfect about, being hit with the big one when you're 600 miles from home. But what I mean by perfect is if we're not being chased, if we could walk, if we're not being chased by cannibals and zombies and, anything like that. If we're able to hoof it home, how long would it take? Now, it's a lot better this year and the year before because our youngest person, my daughter, who is the youngest, all the years before, I've always planned that we could do about 10 miles a day because, you travel as fast as your slowest person can go. But she is, not only is she older now, but she's very strong. She's very agile. She's involved in sports, and she's in good shape. She can make the 20 miles a day that we would need to. And you can make more than 20 miles a day if you really want to push it. Many of you have, I have. But when you're talking about a family and a regular terrain and things like that, it just kind of depends. So what I always do is I pack as close as I can. I couldn't pack all the food we would have needed to walk home from Seattle, but I could do it for this trip. So the first thing I asked the kids, how long would it take for us to walk back home? And they said, well, a little over a month. I said, yeah, right. And so we have at least 30 days worth of food in the back. Now, I also have, when you do that, you'd be surprised how little space 30 days worth of food can take, even for 5 people. And you can cram it in if you're cramming in the right stuff. You're not cramming in boxes of cereal and potato chips and things like that. You are packing in calorie-dense food, a lot of protein, mainly protein. Jars of peanut butter in addition to the summer sausage and cans of Spam and everything. And that would really save on food, because I guarantee you my kids would not eat the Spam, at least for the first week, and then they'd get to the point they're hungry enough to eat the Spam. So that would save a lot of food.
I think you should leave it at home. It's too heavy.
Oh, Kelly just said she thinks I should leave the Spam at home because she thinks it's too heavy. But that's because Kelly has never been hungry enough. First world problems, right? So you pack it in, and also if you have multiple people in your group. Now we just put it in a box, but you will have, if you needed to, you disperse it amongst the people in the group. You might bring some, if everybody in your group has a backpack, that's great. If not everybody does, just bring some of those very small backpacks you can roll up. What are they called, with the strings that people wear all the time? I think those bags.
Backpack, string backpack.
String backpack, she says. I don't know. Seems like there's a different name for it.
There is. I just bought one from Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
Just a string backpack.
Okay, string backpack. Those are easy. Just throw some in if you need to, so that everybody can carry part of the load. So it's going to take us a little over a month. And the way that I pack, now I don't bring a tent. I bring tarps and everything. And I guess I have never showed you my bag system, but I will when I get back. And I have what I call I have a body bag, which isn't what you carry dead bodies in. A body bag, a grab bag, and a jick bag, which is the just-in-case bag that I kind of explained in my first book, and then the large bag, and it's kind of layered in that, and in that it's everything that all of us would need in order to make it home and stay alive. I mean, against the elements and hopefully people, because we do carry the firearms necessary. And I've said in previous ones, there's anytime I go more than 100 miles away or across a major river, and I'm not going to be back the next day, I'll take a rifle. I don't always carry a rifle in the truck. It's just, because first off, I will never leave a rifle in an unattended vehicle. And just because I don't think I usually need one, but when I'm far away, I'll take a rifle. And then there's a handgun for everybody who's able to use a handgun. Now, would you look on there and tell me how many minutes I'm into it, how much time I have?
14 minutes.
14 minutes? Okay, I'm not too bad. I almost turned the camera toward her. She doesn't like to be on camera. Oh no, it's pointed in front of me. That's right. All right, Steve. Are you really looking ahead of you, or are you looking out the window?
Watching the road, honey.
Yeah, I'm watching the road through the camera, apparently. So I'll say a word about firearms here on the road. I you all know that I prefer a 45. In many situations, I carry a 40 because it's, it has almost the capacity of a 9 in the same weapon configuration, but more stopping power than a 9. Not as much as a 45, but it's the best blend between the two. And so when we go on the road, so that I don't have to pack a whole bunch of different calibers of ammo, I bring 40s for everybody. Now, however, I will also suggest that you bring a 9mm. Steve, how in the world can you, a person who hates 9mm, say bring a 9mm? Well, I didn't say to carry it. Just always have one so that in case, for whatever reason, and you can use your imagination on this one, you happen to come upon some 9mm ammo. Wouldn't it be a shame if you came upon 9mm ammo and didn't have anything that you could shoot with it? So anyway, that's just a thought on that. So we pack the food. It is possible to pack enough food to get a family of 5 stay alive. We're not going to be eating like kings, but you're going to be surviving for over 30 days and hopefully make it home. And then in addition to that, all the tarps and the cordage and everything that it would take to set up camp and security and everything like that. I'll show you a little thing that I'll shoot one tonight. I'll probably just put it over on Patreon. By the way, if you're not with us on Patreon, the link is down below. I put so much more over on Patreon than I do on YouTube. If you're really serious or even moderately really interested in preparedness, come on over to Patreon because there's so much more. It's only $1 a month and you will enjoy it. You'll learn a lot from it. And we just have a great community over there. You don't just learn from me. You'll learn from so many of the other patrons who have a lot of experience in a lot of areas, and they're just super people. I have super people on YouTube, but we also get the asshats that wander by and say ridiculous things, and I got to get in there and weed them out so that they don't either insult people or simply mislead them with wrong information. Because you know how many people there are on YouTube. Most of them that don't have channels on their own. Well, some of them do have channels, but most of them don't have channels. But they think they know everything about everything because they've read some magazines or they've watched other YouTubes, or they just made it up and pulled it out of their you-know-what. And they want to get on and tell the world everything they know, right? which is not much. They tell the world everything they think, which is a lot. And if they told everything that they know, they'd be done in half a second. But so I'll talk a little bit about something else over on Patreon later tonight, and I think that will do it for this. It is possible to plan for a long trip. Now, if we were going to go our original route and get clear down to Charleston and Savannah, yeah, it'd make it tougher. But if I'm away from home, especially if my family, well, whether my family's with me or not, but I'm never away from them. If I'm away from home, so are they. They're with me. I don't want to be spending time foraging, through the forest for some berries or scavenging or things like that. I want to have what I need on my back and hitting the road and getting back home as soon as possible, because the lights may be out there too, but that's where all my stuff is. And if we can survive 30 days on the road, we can survive for a long, long time back at home. So anyway, I thought that would be of interest to, well, yeah, I know it would be of interest to some of you because a lot of you have asked me about it. And if you have any questions, I'll say this here. If you have questions, ask them on Patreon. I just don't have time anymore to answer questions on YouTube. And that's one of the great things about Patreon. I read every comment, and even the ones in the community section, and I answer the comments. And you can also send me a direct message and ask me a question, and I'll either get back to you personally or use it as a basis for a video, and that's great. So I'm going to jump off because this is just we're going to be getting into the Smokies pretty soon. I'll shoot another one for you all just to kind of show you around, but I'm going to jump off so I can finish my gas station coffee and some sausage that I brought from the hotel. So you all have a good day. I'm going to have another great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And you all go on out there and do something to prepare. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.